So what is your take on the announcement? If I could get, because that's something big, and I have you here, so I would like to. You're someone big. I would like someone big to comment on something big, but let me just put it up on the screen. Where is it? Yeah, there we go.
Numbers loading into database that supports larger integers. So I did a breakthrough on Game Theory Gang last night, the show, one of the two shows that I've been doing for 113 or 14 weeks now, every Tuesday and Thursday night. So my little breakthrough was, yeah, it's all about integer expansion. That's what we're waiting for. That's why Pulsechain isn't out yet. Integer expansion. Do you know what that means?
No.
So integer expansion is that, like, how many decimal places do you need to like fit all of Ethereum numbers into? Well, you need however many decimals it is, plus like whatever the biggest number is of Ethereum that's possible, right? And like they do this to save space, like memory on the blockchain, right? Because the blockchain is a big Excel database that only has like 1 megabyte of space per block or whatever, you know, like I'm not sure what it is in Ethereum, but anyway, the point is that there's scarce block space, and that's important. And yeah, so Pulsechain is going to make 1.2 million times more coins. So how many decimal places is that? How many integer like positions is that you then have to boil down into zeros and ones?
A lot.
They get put into the computer code. So when you boil things down to zeros and ones, right? And that's how computers work. Like, for anybody who's curious, is like a computer just has a laser inside of it that goes on and off. And when it goes on, that's a 1. And when it goes off, that's a 0. And it just does that like a trillion times a microsecond. And then that's how you get all the computer code that like runs and executes and like creates a beautiful stream for you to listen to. So integer expansion is this idea that like, well, if the Pulsechain supply of tokens is going to be much higher, then we need enough space on the blockchain to for, you know, basically slots to put the numbers in. Does that make more sense now?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch this, but it definitely makes sense.
So if we write out like the max supply or the total supply in Ethereum, it would be what, like 100 million. There's like 100 million coins, and so like they don't have enough like positions. Basically, like they can't show numbers that show like 1 trillion Ethereum, because then they would be wasting a bunch of space where they have to put extra zeros onto every single transaction at the beginning. So it'd be like, you know, having 1 trillion Ethereum would be like 0.1, because it's 100 million Ethereum that exists. So anyway, so like so the point is that because the max supply of Pulsechain, and I'm trying to simplify this, so there are nuances that like both Pulsechain and Ethereum are now like inflationary, and so technically there is no max supply for the future. So that's kind of a nuance that's not relevant. So like you understanding that like if you have a calculator, there's only so many numbers you can put on it, because there's only so many spaces for each number. And like if you want to get a bigger calculator, then that's what the Pulsechain devs are working on, is making like every piece of software that interacts with the blockchain, including the block explorer, which is like our Etherscan. Pulsechain is going to have its own, I believe it's going to have its own block explorer. So it'll be like Pulsechain scan or something. And that needs to be compatible with the bigger numbers as well. As does like the Uniswap fork needs to be compatible with having bigger numbers. you know, the base language, the validator codes, all the components that make up you know, Pulsechain's fork of Ethereum, like all of that needs to be compatible with bigger numbers.
All right, no, that's a very good explanation. Very clear and very concise, considering the complexity of the topic as well.
Yeah, suck it, GPT.
That's right. Why do we need GPT? We got Maddie Allen.
We do. We need it. Yeah, we'll take both.
Yeah, I guess. Well, you can't have Maddie Allen on demand. You could have Chat GPT.
Well, if I load everything I know into it, then that would be ideal. I've like dreamed of that as a therapist. Like, what if I could just spin up like 1,000 of me doing therapy, Chat GPT style? That'd be cool.
Maybe one day. Yeah. So I guess could we get a completely arbitrary and inaccurate prediction for when testnet v3 is going to launch? And I'm saying I hate to be that guy, but everybody wants it, so
dude,
I have
it's
to
a
be
fair
that guy.
question. I said ask me anything.
Okay, when is testnet v3 and when is mainnet? This is going to make for good clickbait.
Yeah. So I guessed that Pulsechain would come out in April of 2022.
Okay.
So that didn't happen. With that being said,
well, you were one off from Richard's call, 1 month off, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, but I said it was like coming out the next day or something. This was not like way forward looking. I was like, oh, anyway. I'm just saying that because nobody should take my opinion into account. But here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at what I just said. The Fed is planning to not just decrease their increases, but to actually decrease their number for their interest rate. Right now, what they're predicting, the Fed governors all like put a pin on a board or something, and it's like right now it's looking like May. Okay. So what we would expect for the rates to reach the highest point.
Okay.
And then let me zoom in here. Yeah, May they would start to come down. April they would reach their highest point. And of course, what the market might do is say, "Oh, sweet," and then just rally until the Fed is like, "Screw this," and they change what they're going to do. So that's why I heard you say earlier it's dumb to like trade all this day to day or week to week, you know. But if you're looking at a whole to inform a whole macro, you know, thesis, and then your dollar cost averaging, and that makes a lot of sense. But so what I'm saying is, look, I'll give you a hot take. I think Ethereum is timing the market. I think the Ethereum Foundation and the software they're putting out, I think they are timing the market.
Okay.
Because they wanted people to think that Ethereum 2.0 would lower transaction fees, but the bear market lowered transaction fees, and they waited 4 years to release the first stage of ETH 2.0.
Because they're waiting for the bottom.
Because they wanted to launch it when the fees were going to be going down anyway.
That's very interesting. That is very interesting.
And so what are they going to do now with the timing? They're going to want to get all their upgrades done.
They bought time.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're going to, I don't know, maybe they're going to wait. Because remember, the next stage of Ethereum 2.0 rolling out is where they unlock all the ETH that's been locked up by the validators.
So that was what I was going to say when I interrupted you. Sorry, but because you totally made me think. That was a very interesting point. But the question, so I said they're saying that the ETH is going to be unlocked. I said they probably want to wait till there's better price appreciation, and it's the same thing for Mt. Gox because people like buying tops and selling bottoms. So if they release it, when the price is higher, it's less likely going to dump because people are going to be like, hey, I got mad gains. Let me hold on to this. But obviously, if we're at all-time lows, everybody that, gets the unlock is going to dump it. So.
And I don't know if like the Ethereum Foundation is allowed to buy coins, but they've now sold all of their coins.
They sold all of it? It's all gone?
I think that's what Richard said. which it's always kind of like a rumor because I don't know the addresses, but basically, yeah, they started with 1 million coins. Now they have 0. They sold every top and like everybody still loves them. But
It's
yeah, I mean, like, who knows? Maybe so I don't really think foundations can like buy, but I didn't even think that they could hold. I thought they were supposed to sell all their coins when they got them. So anyway, I'm just curious because that would kind of influence their incentives, I would say. So there's like 1 million Ethereum that are going to come out whenever the next code gets released, or the next major, like the Shanghai update or whatever it's called. And that'll be super interesting. And that matters for Pulsechain a little bit, I think. And some people are predicting, that the next Ethereum upgrade will be coming up here in the next 3 months. So yeah, I think that there's this short-term stuff around V3, but then the question is like, how long will V3 exist before we go live? And I think that depends on like what we know about what Ethereum's doing, what their developers are doing, not what their price is doing, but what their developers are doing, because we want to stay compatible with them. And then it'll also kind of just depend on like, I mean, maybe V3 is live for a week and then we go to mainnet. I don't know that would be or could be the case, but I heard Crypto 7 say it, and I'm like, well,
no, so
it's at least a 10 or 20% chance that we'd see something like that.
Crypto 7 said that it was going no V3, just straight to mainnet. But that was wrong because
well, he walked that back in the same episode that he said that. So that was kind of his clickbait, was that it's possible that could happen. And it is possible that could happen. And there's a 5 to 10% chance, in my opinion, that could happen, that V3 goes live right away. And then there's a 10 or 20% chance that V3 is live for a week. And then there's like a higher percent chance than all of that like V3 drags out for months and months and months.
No, well, so Richard Hart said that V3 launch was 1 to 3. He said that on that interview, which I really have no clue why he did that interview. My guess was that because the guy probably presented himself to be a lot bigger of a deal than he is, but he said 1 to 3.
That guy is a inventor of bridge solutions. So I would assume that that's why Richard took the interviews, because the guy is an important person in the open source development community.
Okay, so I guess it's networking, but I guess yeah. So he said 1 to 3, which means that we're not going straight to mainnet. There's going to be a public V3. But I guess, yeah, it could last a week. I mean, I don't think it will.
That's a good point. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. That on that stream from 13 days ago or whatever, Richard said, maybe 1 to 3 weeks or something for V3. But remember, in the Hex 2022 Rewind video, there's like a whole montage of Richard saying that he literally doesn't know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. So if he doesn't know, we sure as hell can't know. But 2 more months. And I guess before we got to your project, because I know you have to go, I just put that up because if you look at the tweet I put up, Ripple dumped. This is guy. I love this guy. Your friend Sami. He makes for a lot of my content because he's very active on Twitter. He's like, Ripple dumped 226 million of XRP, because he brought up Ethereum dumping. What are your thoughts on the XRP, the Ripple dumping the XRP?
Stop giving crypto a bad name.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's making us look bad. And the people that own XRP, they don't even like know this. They just, hopefully we could save them one day, I guess.